I'll say things like, like 150 times a minute.
Right.
And I don't know if people notice it when they're watching, but it's, I don't know. If you hear me saying something, just say, hey, Nick, enough with that, because I don't even realize I'm doing it. But anyway.
We are live.
I think we're live.
We are.
Well, cool. Well, we're here again. Love these episodes. Love these Ask Us Anything forms. But, of course, they don't work without questions from the audience. And it's either that or we'll just kind of babble on here for a half an hour or so. But hopefully we'll have some good questions and comments today. So if you guys have anything you want to ask us, anything, whether it's boating related or not, drop it in a comment, Facebook, YouTube, and we'll have some fun. So Captain Keith, what do you say? Thanks for having me on your show.
It's your show, bud, and well, it's our show. 26, 27 episodes of these things now.
That's it. So I think it's actually episode 25, which doesn't make very sense because I called it episode 26 last week, but I think officially we're on episode 25.
That's close enough. So like Nick said, you guys watching this, just jump in here and ask us a question. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of dead air time, Nick and I staring at each other and trying to think of something to say. So while we're waiting everybody to get on here, did you fish that tournament this weekend?
I did. It was a good tournament.
Heard it was a tough bite.
It was a really tough bite. There was some nice fish caught. So one of the things that they did this year with we're talking about the Wild West Kingfish Tournament Series, and they actually split it up this year into an inshore and offshore division. And a big part of them doing that is, you've got these guys with, triple engine boats or
quads.
4-engine quads or even more now.
Right.
But, those guys can run wherever they want. They've got the fuel to run, to Key West. They've got the fuel to run up to way north in the Gulf if they want to, past the middle grounds, whatever it is. And that's all fine and dandy, but unless you're in one of those boats, you're in a tough spot. So one of the things that they did with the inshore division is they put a boundary on it. That opens it up to anybody in a single engine bay boat or just your basic twin engine boats that can't run 80 miles an hour. And it was a great time. It was a great tournament right there in Johns Pass, which we'll get to the Johns Pass situation here in a minute. I know that you're pretty in tune with what's going on there by Hubbard's Marina. And it was just fun. It was nice to fish competitively again, and we haven't had a tournament now in just about a year. And the bite was all right. There were some nice fish weighed in, and the weigh-ins were fun there at the boardwalk. What's the update, Keith, on the Johns Pass on the erosion problem they're having? I've been seeing that pop up all over Facebook.
It's been going on for years where it's just been encroaching in there. I'm not a scientist and stuff, but I do believe it's like all these beach renourishment projects. They keep pumping the sand up on the beaches up north, and it filters and rolls down south. And then that jetty sticking out there at the southern end of Madeira Beach is gotten filled in. So now the sand's just kind of washing around that. So, Dylan Hubbard's a big proponent for this. He's been asking for them, and I guess they've already done studies where they could make it happen pretty quick, but extend those jetties out further on the Madeira Beach side and Treasure Island side and try to keep that sand from washing around the corner. But it's going to be a heck of a dredge job.
Oh, yeah. And, they just dredged Johns Pass, 2 years ago, last year?
I don't think they've dredged the pass. Dylan's been probably trying to keep his boats afloat.
The channel, not inside the pass.
Look at that. Yeah, the outside passes.
Yeah.
Those things are just like Johns Pass. A lot of them are changing around. The Coast Guard's eventually pulling markers out of some of these passes and making them not navigable. It's just local information.
So you think something like Venice Inlet could work?
Something like what?
Like Venice Inlet with those two big jetties?
Yeah, I would hope so. I would think so, but it certainly couldn't hurt.
What is the logic behind the Gulf Coast of Florida and always being generally speaking, shallower on the south side of the channel? Do you know the reason for that?
Or shallow on the north side.
That's what I mean. Shallow on the north side, deep on the south side.
Deep on the south.
Yeah.
I think it's just that sand pushing south that it gets hung up and caught on that north side edge. So pretty much all your channels, if you're running out, you stay down to the south side and you're going to have deeper water.
Yeah, and it changes all the time. What are some tips that you have there, Keith, for you can't really go off the channel markers all the time. We've talked about calling CTO. We've talked about navionics and stuff like that. One of the things I do, I mean, go slow. If you're going someplace that you don't know and you don't know what to trust, I mean, if you go slow, you can really only do so much damage.
Yep. Slow. Buy a great pair of polarized sunglasses. That polarization is going to allow you to look through the water. You're going to be able to see where the deeper channels or cuts are. You might be able to find a swash channel where you're not actually having to run a full channel out. You can see that deep cut through there. And turn your tracks on your chart plotter. It's a repeatable thing then. So if you make it out, you can follow that track right back in. And I find it's a lot easier going out a pass than if it's a place I haven't been into, trying to pick your way through coming back in. But I've always, anytime I'm running a boat, I've got those tracks turned on. So the fog rolls in at night or fog rolls in, you can follow your track in. You're out after dark, then you can follow that track right back to your lift, back to your marina, back to your slip, trailer, boat ramp. You trailer your boat down to the Keys and you put in and you wind through the back country and you go out. Well, now it's time to come home and it all looks the same. You can't figure out where you got to go. Talk about shallow water in Florida Bay there, but you follow that track right back into the marina or the boat ramp.
So one of the things I like more about the Keys down there is, you've got the ability to pretty much, you can always see how deep it is for the most part.
Yep. Shout out to Marcia and Kathy are watching with us here.
We got Brian watching with us too. So Brian, come on. I know you got a few good questions left in you. So go ahead and drop them in the comments.
We got 50 something people on here watching right now. Come on, fire them up.
A lot of people watching, a lot of people with an opportunity to take a shot at the captains. I feel like the clown at the carnival going like this. Can you hit me? Can you hit me? There it is. All right, Brian. Thanks for joining in, man. Are there sites that update channels and depth? I mean, I know that on your Navionics app, it'll give you that little option to hit the update, and then it takes about 10 seconds.
Yeah, and like local notice to mariners, listen to your have your VHF radios on too. I mean, not really necessarily with the depth of the channels, but a channel marker is missing or been destroyed. If there's a hazard in a particular area, the Coast Guard's going to come on there every hour or so and let you know about that obstruction or hazard.
I got a good one for you, Keith. How do you report if you come across one of those hazards to navigation? You come across a channel marker down, you come across some sort of obstruction in a channel that could potentially, whether it's a half sinking boat or whatever. How do you report that to the Coast Guard? You go on channel 16, right? And what does that process look like? And then they'll issue a securite, right?
Pon stations. Yeah.
So how's that going to work?
So like the proper protocol on a VHF radio, if you're going to call the Coast Guard, you'd say United States Coast Guard, United States Coast Guard, United States Coast Guard. This is Marine Max 1, over. And then they reply back to you. And more than likely, they're going to switch you up to channel 22, which is their working channel. If you're in an emergency and they want to make sure that they don't lose communication with you, they'll have you stay on 16. But if you're just to report something or whatnot, you're going to go up to 22 and then let them know what's going on. I've also got, their phone number, in my phone. Especially after storms and stuff, if markers are missing or the day boards got knocked off and all that stuff, I've reported, several times,
Yeah, I do it too one time there in Include channel. There was a channel marker floating. I mean, those things are getting hit all the time. I mean, in Boca Ciega Bay, how many times do you look up and you don't see a channel marker where there should be one?
Yeah, I mean, it got rolled over, and you don't know. It could be just barely submerged underneath the surface, which is obviously a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. I got a good topic we can cover, Keith. This is a question I get a lot. When people ask exactly how do you become a captain? Because there's obviously a lot of different ways that you can go about it. There's different endorsements and stuff like that. You do need to be qualified, and then besides that, there is a few steps that you need to go do go through other than just taking a test. So why don't we talk about that a little bit, Keith? How did you go about it your way? I mean, I'll tell you my way in a second here through C school, but how did you get your captain's license?
I just always grew up boating. My uncle owned a dive shop, was dockmaster at a couple different marinas before I came here to MarineMax, and just always boated. And just thought it was something I'd like to do. So I went the CETO route, which for us here in Pinellas County is great because they're located right here in St. Pete. You've got to have enough time. I forget how many days.
CETO or C school?
C school. I'm sorry.
Okay. I did C school
C
too.
school. Yeah. 4th Street and 84th Avenue North.
Yeah.
But you just have to have enough time. You got to have your time documented. And then you go to C school, depending on how the class is set up, whether you do it like, I think mine was 6 in the evening till 11 at night, like Monday through Friday. And we did full Saturday and Sundays on bookends on either of that. So then you go to the school, you learn, and then you just go home and you study. You kind of just they get it pounded into your head. After a couple of days, you go and you sit down with the Coast Guard and do the Coast Guard exam. There's 4 parts to it. But then after you do the schooling part, you've still got to pass a background check. You've got to go get your federal TWIC card, workers identification card, first aid, CPR, and there's quite a lot to it. Then every 5 years, you've got to renew. So I just did I forget how many renewals it is now, but like this last year.
Yeah, I just checked it because I forgot. You don't want it to sneak up on you, but there is a little bit of a grace period there. I looked at mine the other day. I need to renew in June of next year. And how does that work? Just I guess everything's on the record, but there's a 1-year grace period, right? So, but if your license is expired, you can't operate under license within that grace period. You're not good to go until you're renewed again, right?
I believe that's correct.
And then if you let it lapse for a year, you're back to square one.
Right. You got to go back and take the school and take the test and all that. Don't let it lapse.
No. I love C school, man. I started working on boats up in Massachusetts when I was really young. And then after I turned 18, actually I was 19. And then the guy I worked for, Chuck, he, as my year-end bonus, said, "Hey, I want to put you through captain school." So that was awesome. So I went to C school right there in St. Pete, just like you did. And the way I did it while I was in college. So I didn't have school Fridays, and actually that semester I didn't have any Thursdays either. So what they did 2 long weekends, and they don't have any. And they've got different schedules that fit different people's needs. So I was it was Thursday and Friday night from I believe 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and then all day Saturday and Sunday. And when I mean all day, I mean from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night.
It's 12 hours.
They might have changed it, and then there was 2 back-to-back weekends. So I did that, and it was awesome. I met some friends in that class that I still talk to today, young captains that got their start like I did, and the people you meet are amazing. I mean, you see husband and wives in there, you see sailboaters, you see all sorts of different people getting their captain's license, and it's funny because everybody's good at different things. Some people might be really good at the chart plotting, some people might be really good at rules of the road, and you meet a lot of great friends in the class too. And you make it through the course like that. And so what are the 4 things? So it's chart plotting, which is awesome. I still have my charts hanging up in my room. Chart plotting, nav general, which is all your navigations, deck general, and the big one is rules of the road. That's the one that stumps everybody because you can do, I believe it's 70% on the other ones to pass the course, but rules of the road is 90%. And that's 90%. It's a lot of memorization. So it's 30 questions. You get more than 3 wrong, then you got to retake it. And I believe you get 3 times to retake it before you got to figure something out. But either way, you learn a lot of cool stuff. You learn a lot of stuff that you probably never use, with, inland waterway navigation up the Mississippi and stuff like that. But it's always good to know. And then after the test, there are a few hoops that you need to jump through. And Brian, I see there, you see the cost at a C school. When I did it, it'll cost you anywhere between, in Florida anyways, anywhere between $500 and $1,000 for the test alone Then there's all the different stuff through the Coast Guard. You know, your first aid, your CPR, like you talked about, your drug test, your physical, your TWIC card,
Right.
submitting it to the Coast Guard, which the Coast Guard's a little bit backed up right now. From what I heard, the only station that's actually processing this is over in Hawaii. So it's taking folks, I've heard, about a month longer to get your license than it would take in the past. But the Merchant Mariner, I forget what program it is, just the MMC Merchant Mariner Credentials program or whatever. They're pretty good with keeping you updated along the way. And interesting that I did, and I don't know if you did it too, Keith. So after I did the 6-pack, which is your OUPV, your occupied unexpected
Operator,
operator,
unexpected passenger vessels.
and then I did my master's class, which was awesome. And I actually heard they changed it. So mine was all on a CFR 46, which is Code of Federal Regulations that has anything to do with maritime law. And after that, I submitted it all at once. I thought, what the heck, why not? I had the hours and stuff, and that's a little bit more of a inspected license. But after that, I know that 200-ton test is quite a big one.
Yep, I've got my 100-ton masters. I haven't done a 200. So
I
one
heard
thing
it's
I
a
will
big-
say,
it's a big upgrade, just big boots, stuff like that.
it's a great course to take. I would highly recommend it. Then it's going to be kind of up to you if you want to actually follow through and get the actual captain's license. Your liability is going to change, right?
Mhm.
If you're out on a boat and a mistake happens, something happens, you run into something or anything, the liability is going to be a lot greater on you if you hold that license, as opposed to just being a quote unquote weekend warrior, just a everyday Joe boater. But the knowledge you're going to learn there is invaluable. It's cool. I mean, I like you too. I love the charting, plotting, navigation stuff, set and drift, and TVMDC, and figuring out your variation, deviation, magnetic heading, and all that. So
I loved it, and I heard that they and let's talk about some of those different endorsements, Keith. Like what does a towing endorsement get you?
well, if you're going to work for Sea-Tow or Towboat US or use your license to commercially tow somebody, you have to have the towing endorsement. They've got radar endorsements and
Sailing endorsement.
celestial navigation. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know,
The guy who was your instructor there?
I don't know, man. It was so long ago.
I had an awesome guy, man. You see him at boat shows sometimes. It's Captain Peter James. I'm sure anybody that's watching this, chances are they had him. He was a captain in the Royal Navy, and the stories he has about celestial navigation and pretty much operating off of a Sexton out in the middle of the ocean. He'd say, in the middle of Pacific back in those days, if you got within 30 miles, you'd be in good shape of finding where you are.
Yeah, it's neat stuff.
But chances are you'll never have to, navigate off the stars. Got some questions coming in here, Keith. Got Joseph Richard on YouTube. Hi, great show. Very informative. Thanks, Joseph. When purchasing a new boat, Boston Whaler 350 round, is it necessary to get a survey on the boat? Good question. It is not necessary. It's also not unheard of. What are your experiences with this, Keith?
If you're buying a brand new Boston Whaler, no need. Everything's under warranty. It's brand new right out of the rack, comes shrink wrapped right from the factory.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to buy a brokerage boat, you're buying from an individual, absolutely spend the money, get the survey done. But, everything's brand new. You got full warranties. You're all set. There's not going to be anything wrong with that boat. It's a tank.
Yeah. Whaler will stand behind their product too. Buy the 350 round. Buy it at the boat show. You won't regret it. I remember Landon over in marketing shot a video of him and I one time out on the water. It was nasty weather, man. It was overcast. It was cranking out of the west, and we're like, man, let's head out to Paso Grill, and we called it whaler weather.
It's a good place to do it.
Boat beast, especially with the Seakeeper in it.
Yeah, all whalers are.
They are. Looks like, speaking of Landon, got a question from an online buddy. And it's got a lot of friends. What's the legal distance PWs need to keep from boats in Florida? I'm assuming that's personal watercrafts. Is there a legal
Yep.
distance?
I don't know. We can look that one up.
We will.
They should stay away farther than what they do.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah.
It's I think that there's actually some jet ski or PWC gangs out there nowadays. You see them riding around all in packs.
Yeah, up there off Honeymoon Island, it's a popular spot to put in there, and you got everybody running out Hurricane Pass, and they're back there jumping the wakes and cutting around. It just gets dangerous. So
Yeah, it's
you
stressful
just
too.
there's no brakes on those things, and there's no brakes in a boat.
You're on ice. I heard that the other day. Captain Chris, he was using it in an analogy on one of his orientations, just saying, think of you're on ice and you're kind of sliding all over the place.
It's a good analogy.
So while we're here, Keith, if we want to move on to another subject while all these comments drift in, let's talk about some cool deliveries that you've done. What does your schedule look like this week? What did it look like last weekend? And you do anything cool? You go any cool places?
Last Saturday, I did it was good to get back on one. I had a Sea Ray 51 Dancer.
Ah, man, I bet you delivered quite a few of those bad boys back in the day.
Absolutely. And what a great running boat. Pod boat. It's fast. It's like running a little sports car, cruising around. Hit the sky hook button, just hold you there. But that's just a beautiful boat, the way it's laid out, the big open atrium,
They got
area.
nice lines, too. They got really nice lines. Is that the one you guys had in your showroom?
Yes. Yeah. So that finally delivered Saturday. Then I've got a 55 gallon fly out here going to go next week. 35 realms, 38 realm. I don't know. There's just all kinds of stuff stacked up. So as soon as the boats are coming in, we're unwrapping them, rigging them, and getting them to their owners.
Good stuff. I've got a couple deliveries coming up. It's nice to start seeing all those little Sea Ray SPXs start coming back in. We're so used to the days of like Tampa boat shows and stuff like that where they're all over the place. And man, I would have never thought that they'd be both of these guys. These boats came in on the same truck. They're actually they ordered those boats 2 months ago and they were custom ordered. So it was nice to see them come in. And nice. We got one going to Tierra Verde and the other one going over to Snell Isle. So we'll take care of that. And I love those little boats, man. A big thing that I get a lot in sales, Keith, is some people will say, hey, I know that this isn't a big boat for you guys, but it means a lot to me. It means a lot to us too. Every single one. I mean, there's nothing I love more than that 13 Sport or whatever it is, and you see the kids look at it, and all the memories that are going to be made on it, or you see the 19 SPX that the family's going to escape all the COVID nonsense from, and it means a lot to us too. Even those little 19, those 17 footers, they mean a lot to us, and I'm sure that you can attest to that. Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. It's the bonding thing. It gets everybody together. So as a matter of fact, I'm going down, speaking of stuff I've delivered or done or whatever, I'm heading down to Marina Jack tomorrow.
I love it.
That's where the guy went crazy last week and kind of smashed into a bunch of boats.
I didn't know that. On that, what was it, a Carver or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Marina Jack.
Ooh, there's a lot of nice boats in there. That's not a place that's not a place that you want to be going crazy in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know obviously you're innocent until proven guilty, but the scuttlebutt is he was a mate on the boat or a detailer or something. I got mad at the owner and took off with the boat with his girlfriend and ran it aground, did some gear damage, and then came back in and was ramming into boats. A couple of our customers, good clients, were down there. And one of the guys is standing on the dock on the backside. You can hear him yelling, "Shut it down! Shut it down!"
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you even do, man? You can't stop that boat, especially if it's running away. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
So yeah, he went directly to jail. I guess a bunch of DUI charges and pilled up and all that. But actually, I'm bringing it up to your store. It's coming up for a survey.
Which one?
It's Jacob's customer, 44 Aquila. They're going to survey it Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that's a nice boat.
Joel,
the one that has the one that has the teak on it, or the
I believe so.
That's a good looking boat.
Yep.
I've got a 36 down there too. That's a nice marina right there in downtown Sarasota.
It's a cool place.
All right.
So we got a few questions rolling in here.
Does a sailboat with sails, got William Cohen, does a sailboat with sails that is with sails up that is overtaking a boat trolling still have the right of way? All right, let's go over the pecking order again. So new reels, catch fish. So purchase some willingly.
Some.
All right. Let's think about this here. So when the sails are up, that makes it a sailboat. Okay. So it's not a power boat. No matter if it's a sailboat or not, if it's under its own power, then it is a power boat at that point. If the boat is trolling, then it's a fishing boat. It is. So let's think about this here, Keith. So let me write this down. New reels, catch fish. So purchase some willingly. All right. New is your knuck. Reel is your restricted by draft. Or no, I'm sorry. Restricted inability to mover. Restricted. C is constrained
by draft.
By draft. F is fishing. S is sail. And P is power. So we're talking about a fishing boat and a sailboat. So I guess technically, if you were to go by the pecking order, your fishing boat that's trolling would have its right of way. Correct?
That's what I would think too.
Now, there's all these sorts of situations that they'll talk about in C school. It's funny that you're asking us this question here, William, because this is one of the things that they're going to go over in C school or wherever your captain's course is. A fishing boat, if it is trolling, as in it has its lines out, they're a fishing boat. Those lines come up in that situation, it's a power boat. They're not fishing. Same thing with those fishing boats, with all those different day shapes and stuff like that. When they're fishing, they're a fishing boat, but when they're just operating, they're a power boat. Just like if that sailboat had its sails down and they were just operating under their engine. What do you think? What's your take on this?
Yep, but it's it depends on kind of, I would say, the size of the boat that's trolling and kind of your ability to maneuver and stuff too. So, but at the end of the day, you can throw all the rules out the window. You got to do whatever you can do to avoid a collision.
Mm-hmm. What do they call it? Early and substantial? To make it
early. Yep. Lisa Harrison, is a teenager allowed to operate a boat without adult supervision? Absolutely. As long as they've got their safe boater's ID card. It's what it's called here in Florida. Different states may be different. But you can get it through the FWC. You can go online and get it. They also produce a booklet that you read through it. There's 75 questions in the back of it. You just fill it out and bubble in the answer sheet, send it off, and they'll score it for you. So personal watercraft, though, you got to be over 14.
Yeah. Are there any insurance benefits too and stuff like that as far as, having your boater safety card?
That boater safety card, I don't think is going to get you an insurance break. But if you take a course, Coast Guard Auxiliary, something like that, that I think you'll probably get like a 10% discount or something.
Oh, wow.
Power Squadron.
What was is that the Coast Guard Auxiliary like we were talking about last week?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Let's see. Lisa Love, 9,000. Is there a Kelly Blue Book guide equivalent for boats? Yeah, there are things that you can use. I mean, I use NADA boats. But a lot of, especially on new boats, the manufacturers do a good job just kind of listing MSRPs and stuff like that, especially through your build-a-boat process. There's a couple videos out there on just what costs what and what gets itemized like that. So that's a good question, Lisa. A baseball life is life 08 here. You should do Yamaha boat tours. There you go, Keith. Grab your Nautic Star and put on your Captain Stubing hat and get your love boat tours on.
We can do that. Show some love to Yamaha.
Hey, I'm impressed with those Nautic Stars, man. I fished at 227 XTS in a tournament, the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation tournament the other week, and I was impressed.
Yep, I have been too. Everyone I've run and delivered. So, hey, did you say that 26 that you had didn't have trim tabs? Is that
The Nautic Star,
yeah?
the 2102 Legacy that we have doesn't.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
same here.
oh really? Yours doesn't either?
I don't think so. But the 26 does.
I'll tell you what, that 227 XCS, I had 4 grown men on the boat, and it was honking out of in Boca Chica Bay, honking out of west. And I dug those tabs, man. Nobody got wet. The boat wasn't slamming.
It's a dry boat.
I know that they're value boats, so the prices aren't going to be quite as high as some of the premium brands, but it did not feel cheap at all. It did not feel cheap at all. You didn't come off waves and get the slam, and I was pretty hyped up. So, and plus also there's a Yamaha financing on that too. So there's some good deals to be had on those Nautic Stars. And
Yeah, but
and
with that quote unquote value brand, it's still a great boat. You're
yeah,
getting Marine Max. You got our service team. You got our getaways. You got everything else that comes with it. I don't care if you're buying an Ocean Alexander or anything. You know, it's
yeah.
all part of what we are.
When I was on the 227 XCS, I thought that this is a boat. I could see myself in this boat like now. I could fish a lot of tournaments in that boat. And you're going to see that. So that's something I heard from Nautic Stars. You're going to see a lot more Nautic Stars in the redfish tours and stuff like that.
Good.
They're going to start making their presence and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I'll be on the lookout for that.
So Jeff goes, I don't know if it's the law, but a suggested distance 200 foot. Thank you. I got a citation once for jumping wakes too close.
Well, there you go. Got Larry. Hey, Larry, how's it going? Is there a secret to understanding the trim tab switches? I find the setup confusing. Well, I think that this is a good point that we can spend a lot of time on because they're all a little bit different. Sometimes you have indicator switches and stuff, but let's talk about your basic Lencos.
All right. If you go to YouTube and type in, just search for Marine Max boating tips or Captain Keith boating tips, I've got some videos on there running boats with trim tabs. But typically how they're set up, if you got the 2 rocker switches and then you got they're split in half, you got a little line right down the middle. If you hold the bottoms of the switches in, it's going to bring the tabs up all the way flush with the bottom of the boat. As you're running along, if you're leaning to port and you want to level the boat out, that right-hand rocker switch, you're going to push it forward, which is going to drop your starboard bow. So if you're visually just looking at it, whichever way you're pushing those rocker switches is the way your bow is going to go. What's actually happening is the tab on the opposite side is dropping down. So if I'm to get my bow down on the starboard side, that port tab comes down. Water pressure is hitting that tab, which is going to lift that port corner of the boat and rock my boat to starboard and level you out. But if they're set up the way 99% of them are, you're going to push them forward, and that's the way your bow's going to go. I have seen some that are reversed, and it's kind of really awkward. You really got to I got to think about what we're doing here.
But I mean, especially in those Lencos, they make it pretty easy because it'll actually say, down, down, up, up, even though down is up and up is down. But you got to think of which way you're going to point your bow is the way I think of it. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the use of trim tabs for a minute, Keith. Obviously, you got a head C, you're going to dig those tabs a little bit more. Following C, you might want to bring them up so you're not going to stuff it. What do you do, like if you're quartering or let's say you're taking a side C or something? How do you adjust those tabs to one, say, I don't know, not beat up your boat, but to keep everybody dry? Let's
drier, a little smoother ride.
Yeah, let's talk about a little situation here. Let's say that you've got a pretty strong sea coming directly at your 3 o'clock off your starboard side. What are you doing in your mind with those tabs?
So what I can go ahead and do is I can actually go ahead and drop my port bow down a little bit, which is going to raise or flare up that starboard side that the way the waves are coming in. And it may help, like you said, keep you drier. It might be a little smoother ride. It may knock the waves down. You're not going to be running straight flat, but you're kind of lifting you're rolling yourself a little bit to kind of stay on top of it or knock them down. You can also dump if it's a nice day and you want to go slower cruise speed. Go ahead and drop your tabs down a little bit. You can come off the throttle, and that's going to push your bow down to keep you flat on plane for a longer period of time. It'll slower RPM.
And you had a great video I saw the other day. I believe it was on 27 Dauntless. Well, you shot this video a long time ago. There's a lot of confusion between trim tabs and engine trim. They are not the same thing. What are you going to do with your engine trim? What does the engine trim do to your boat, whether it's on a single engine or a twin engine boat?
So when your engine's trimmed all the way down, you've actually got a little bit of a negative cant to it. It's tucked in underneath the transom, just an inch or so. So that allows you, when you accelerate, it's going to lift up the transom of the boat, and it's going to push that bow down. It's going to force it down. It's going to allow you to get on plane faster, a quicker hole shot. Then once you're up and top on running, go ahead and trim up a little bit. And then as that engine comes up, it's going to start pushing down on the transom of the boat, the back of the boat, and your bow's going to come up a little bit. So now you got less surface area, less drag. So as the boat's going through the water, it starts peeling up a little bit and you're running along. You've seen like those bass videos where the guys are running 100 miles an hour from one. The only thing that's in the water pretty much is the prop. I mean, they just got that thing lifted up and trucking along. We don't want to do it, obviously that much in ours. You'll start cavitating and jumping around, porpoising. If that happens, then just trim it down a little bit.
Good stuff.
Yep.
There's a couple good videos that you have on YouTube there. Maybe the man behind the curtain, Marine Max, can drop those videos in the comments so people can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and also if you've got a Axios boat, the joystick piloting boat, when you're using the joystick, those engines trim themselves up a little bit. They get to a neutral level position. So then when you get done using that and you pull out and you get ready to go, you want to go ahead and trim them back down to be able to get up on plane faster.
That's some good questions coming in on the side there. Lil Downs, thanks for the questions. Very informative.
Let me address Fitness Girls right here. Fitness Girl next door. How do I dispose of expired marine flares? Great question.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I recommend you to go and just drop them off at your local fire station, fire department, neighborhood one. They can take them. They can use them in their pyrotechnic training and all that. They'll safely dispose of them. There is something in the works coming down the pike through, I think Cito Foundation got a grant. If Gail, if she's watching, I'm sure I'm going to say the wrong foundation or whatever, but there is something coming where there's going to be an incinerator, basically like a mobile one, that's going to start making the rounds, and you can take them and wherever they're going to be, you can take and drop them off, and then they're going to be able to properly dispose of them. But that's probably still, last I heard, it still might be like another year out or so.
So don't use them at 4th of July?
If you're out in the woods or something, I wouldn't recommend going out on the water and doing it.
Got a good question here from Ocean Rage. Hey guys, I was wondering, are 2 Mercury Verado 350 outboards enough for a 40-foot boat with a displacement of 15,000 pounds? Well, there's a lot of different answers to that question. You can probably get away with it on like a catamaran style hull. On a catamaran style hull or something like that. But generally speaking, for instance, on a 40-foot Boston Whaler, you're going to see 3 or 4 engines. And 15,000 pounds, there's a lot to go into consideration there. It depends on a style of hull, I would say.
Yeah.
I hate to be generic, but
yeah, if it is it like a narrow scarab or something like that doesn't have a lot of displacement where you can get up and go quicker. Just kind of depends.
Then I've got
Lil Downs has got the best question of the day right there.
Do you want to address it?
How do I get girls on my boat? You're asking the wrong 2 guys.
Yeah, so, I have no clue. I have no clue. If you find out, why don't you drop the answer in the comments, because I'm sure a lot of people would want to know. All right, twin 350s V drives when under power and on plane. She leans hard to starboard. Props are good, tabs are straight, and the weight is distributed even. But she's leaning hard to starboard. Well, it sounds like there's some weight distribution that you might not know about, right? I think a good answer to this question here is you're saying that when under power and on plane. So let's think about this here, Keith. So it's not happening when you're stagnant or at the dock. So it's only happening when you're up and running, which is strange. Maybe a trim tab stuck.
Yeah, we said that they're straight and the weight's distributed evenly. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's talking about weight distributed, so his batteries, water tank, fuel tanks.
I mean, if the weight wasn't distributed evenly, he'd have a pretty bad list at the dock, no?
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't know what kind of boat is it. Just
it's a 1987 Wellcraft Saint Tropez 34.
All right, 1987. I mean, you could have the weight could be water. I mean, you could have stringers in there wet or some sort of structural. I don't want to say damage, but
yeah. Hey, Brian brings up a good point. He says to make sure that the RPMs on each motor are even.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. One's turning up more than the other, it's going to turn you.
Yeah. All right. Got a good question here. Gonna answer a couple more questions then with the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show coming up. Let's have a quick chat on some little boat show pro tips, huh?
I'm sorry, Nick. I was reading a question here. So I heard you say something about FLIBs.
Yeah, we've got FLIBs coming up here this week, so maybe we can answer a couple other questions, and before we sign off, we can give a couple boat show pro tips.
Yeah.
Let's see. Den Ashbury says he tried to drop off expired flares at the fire station in Sarasota last week, and they said they don't take them anymore.
Huh.
That's good to know.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Well, where do you bring them? Coast Guard station?
I don't know. Like I said, it's the first one I've heard of the fire station. I mean, I don't know if they said they don't take them anymore. Maybe there's something they just started. But there will be something coming here in the future.
Cool.
Good way to dispose of them.
Well, let's talk about some boat show tips. I know you and I have a video going out here just for some pointers, but boat shows are obviously going to look a little different than they might have looked last year. But that being said, they still can be a little overwhelming, be a little, I don't want to say scary, but there's a lot of boats there. You'll see a lot of different styles. So there are some things to kind of maximize your boat show experience. And, a big part of that is being in Florida is it gets hot, huh? I mean, stay hydrated, right?
Yep. And one thing too with, we still got the pandemic going on and stuff like that. There's a lot of inventory now coming back to a lot of our stores. So I know there's going to be a Aquila specific event down at the MarineMax St. Petersburg store next week. So, I mean, if there's something that you really are looking at, more than likely we can find it for you here locally. FLIBs is going to be Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. It's going to be a lot different. There's going to be a lot of hygiene type stuff, a lot of social distancing, a lot of spacing. Everybody's going to have to wear masks. You're going to get on a boat, one family at a time. That family gets off. Then they're going to have to disinfect the boat. And then next person gets on there. So it's not like you're going to have, you're just going to go and be hopping on boats and doing stuff. There's going to be a lot less boats there. There's going to be,
I heard they widen the docks.
The attendance is like cutting in half. So if by chance there are a ton of people there, you may not be able to actually get in till, they're going to be counting. So till people leave.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely going to be different.
Mm-hmm. And something that a lot of folks don't realize is you can actually get boat show deals for the most part without being at the boat show. So the manufacturers more often than not will kick dealers or they'll kick whoever incentives. And if you've had your eye on that Sea Ray or an Aquila especially, or a Boston Whaler or something, if you want to take advantage of a good time to buy a boat, boat shows are good. There are chances to save a little bit of money. So if there's something that you've had your eye on, call up your sales guy, call up whoever, and kind of take advantage of that. Let's say you can't travel. There's all sorts of different travel bans right now. If you're stuck up in New England or something, or over, in the middle of the country, that does not mean that you need to miss out on your boat show deal. You can still take advantage of that. And to answer your question there, Brian, are you guys going? Yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to be showing out, but this is a show that's put on by the manufacturers. So we'll have different MarineMax guys working a Galleon booth, Whaler booth, Sea Ray booth, Azimut, Ocean Alexander, you name it. You'll see our guys there. So
but not Nick and I
no.
personally.
I'll be at the Aquila event though.
Right.
In St. Pete.
So will I.
So if you guys are in the St. Pete area and you want to check out some Aquila power catamarans right at the Aquila hub of the whole country, come on down to St. Pete. There'll be all sorts of boats on display and I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag, but I even heard of a couple world debuts going on.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna say it.
Nobody's laid eyes on it yet.
I'll get slapped on the wrist for saying it here, but if you want to see something cool, come to the show.
Yeah, give Nick a call.
Just some other little pointers. Stay hydrated, right? Wear sunscreen. That sun sneaks up on you. I mean, I work these boat shows and I've fished my whole life, but when I come home from the boat shows, I'm fried. And another one, let's talk about the shoes, Keith.
Yep. So you're going to want to take your shoes off when you're getting on off these boats. So you don't want to be stopping and tying your shoes every time. So comfortable shoes that are easy to walk in, easy to take on and off. Have a plan, kind of get the layout of the show and figure out, okay, this boat I want to look at and I want to compare it to this one, kind of figure out how you're going to go around. So you're just not just wandering the docks aimlessly, wondering where things are.
Yeah, call up your guy or girl that you're working with and say, all right, hey, I want to look at, I'm going to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. I want to see the Boston Whaler 350 realm. Where am I going to find it? And, they'll tell you exactly where it's going to be. They'll have a pretty good idea on what is what and where it is and stuff like that. And that'll just make you kind of maximize this time. Like Keith said, it's not going to be like a free-for-all in the past where you can just hop boat from boat to boat, just all willy-nilly and, just going wherever you want. So
I'd say probably the most important thing, what I would want to do, is make an appointment, get with your salesperson and set up a time so they can set their time aside and spend time with you and go through the boat you're looking at. Instead of, he might be engaged with somebody else and you're there and you're trying to get answers. Then you got somebody else trying to talk to you. You get that appointment and get that time set and nailed down.
Got Brian here. How come no 54? Well, Brian, the 54 is coming. You'll see it very soon. And it's all I'm gonna say is it's gonna be worth the wait. I've got hull number 1 coming to St. Petersburg. It's gonna live in St. Petersburg here towards the beginning of the year, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a very long, very intricate process, but it's gonna be worth it. And just hopefully the 70 doesn't overshadow it too much, because those are both going to be some boats that they're going to change the world of power catamarans, and you're going to see a lot of great awards and stuff like that. So stay tuned. It's going to be worth it, Brian. Do you guys have any 2020 azimuts in stock in St. Pete? We just had an S7 there last week, but I think that it might have gone down to the show. But we can get a hold of any azimut in the country.
Yeah. I've got an S6 here, but it's sold, and it's going to be delivering here in a couple of weeks. It just came in Friday.
I believe I saw a 66 fly the other day. I love that 66 fly, man. Azimuts, I mean, all the boats that we spend a lot of time around, those azimuts are sleek. I mean, you talk about lines on boats. And they're fast too, huh, Keith?
Yes, they are. They're fun.
Yeah, you guys had that.
So Little Downs has got the 55.
Oh, cool. Cool. Well, I don't know why you have any problems getting girls on the boat if you got a 55 azimut. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, today. Next week, I'm actually going to be riding solo without Keith here, so we're we're going to have Bruce Laporta from MarineMax in St. Pete, our first repeat guest. He's the service manager. The guy's been around the block a time or two. You've seen some crazy stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some stories from his days down in Miami and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking all things service related. That's another guy. You break out your technical questions. You talk to somebody that's going to go way into depth on the construction of a spark plug. There you go. He'll tell you, and all sorts of that good stuff. So Keith, what do you say? You got anything else for this episode?
So, yep. So I'm going to be out on grandpa duty next Monday. So be fishing with my go fishing with my granddaughter. So you guys have a good show. I'll miss you. I know you and Bruce will do great. And just want to thank everybody for joining us.
Good stuff. Good questions today, guys. And have a good, productive, and safe and healthy week. See you on the water.
See you out there.